beginning, to the very, very beginning, where God took time to create the oceans, the big blue sky, and the land. The skies were filled with stars and galaxies, both near and far. He filled the waters both with big and small fish. The land was crawling with every kind of animal that you could ever imagine that was made by God. Once God finished creating, he stood back and what did he say? It is. Oh, you guys are listening. Awesome. You can even say it was perfect. And God also, at this time, created a garden. What's the name of the garden? Oh, it's the Garden of Eden. We're getting there, Garden of Eden. And it, too, was perfect in every way, just like this. Hold on. You guys see it over there? There you go. I tell you, the garden was perfect. A lot like this beautiful little cake. Does anyone in here like cake? Oh, yes. I love cake. Give me some white cake with some chocolate ice cream and boom, it's like I'm in heaven. Who likes cake in here? I love it, I love it, I love it. So imagine, let's put our imaginations on right now. Imagine with me, please, right now, that this cake, this beautiful cake, is Earth, okay? We're going to say this is Earth, okay? You got it? This is going to be Earth. Now, during this time in history, there was only two people living on Earth. Let me go to my little box here. Let me see if I can find them. Who were the two people that were living on Earth? Adam and Eve. There we got Adam. We got little Eve there. There we go. We got our Adam and Eve there. There we go. Now, Adam and Eve lived happily in a garden, surrounded by the most coolest animals. Can you imagine going around there, just kind of hanging out with the animals, you know, just say, hey, what's going on? Let me ride you the elephant there. You know, I don't know if he was there, but this is pretty cool. There we go. I certainly don't know if he was there, but hey, he's an animal. There we go. So, can you imagine? I mean, they were everywhere, and not only was that, but there was cool, I mean, perfect plants everywhere. It was awesome. It was beautiful. This place was awesome. Totally cool. This place was perfect. You guys say perfect. Perfect. I mean, day in and day out, they lived perfect lives. They walked around and hung out with the animals. They enjoyed eating perfect food. They enjoyed the perfect company of the animals. Nobody felt pain. There was no sadness. The struggles of life just simply did not exist. Again, this all happened because life was perfect. Good. Now, God had given only one rule for Adam and Eve to follow. They could eat from fruit from any tree in the garden except one. What was the name of that tree? The poison tree. All right, we'll figure that out here in just a second. There was a tree in the middle of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They cannot eat from the knowledge of the good and the tree of good and evil. Now, I got a question. Would anyone here in this audience like to see what perfection tastes like? Anyone like to take a piece of cake? Anyone like to eat a piece of cake? Well, maybe if I get through the story, maybe we can take a piece of this cake and share it with everybody. You guys want to try some later? Now, perfection might have continued forever had Adam and Eve not fallen tricks to this little guy Satan, disguised as a serpent. Ew. You see, the serpent. There you go. Just put that guy. You see, the serpent came along and threw a wrench into the works here. He placed doubt in the minds of Adam and Eve, which led to sin. One day, the serpent asked Eve, crawled up there and asked Eve. He said, "Did God say if God said they could not eat fruit from any tree in the garden?" Eve clarified and told the serpent that all the trees were fair game. They could have whatever, fair game, except the one tree in the middle of the garden, which was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, here's where things kind of take a turn for the worse, guys and girls. The serpent went on to twist God's word even more and cast doubt in Eve's heart. Genesis 3 tells us this, that the snake says, "Oh, you certainly shall not die." No. God knows that when you eat the fruit from that tree, you will know things you have never known before. Like God, you'll be able to tell the difference between good and evil. Satan was throwing an enticing offer to Adam and Eve. He was implying that eating the fruit would mean they would be wise like God. He was trying to get them to believe that God was keeping something good from them. He was trying to get them to believe that God's rule was mean and unfair, and they should disobey him to get the good thing that God was keeping from them. But if they disobeyed, it would destroy this perfect world. If they disobeyed. To disobey God or to sin in a perfect world would be similar to destroying this perfectly beautiful cake. It'd be like destroying this cake by adding ingredients that doesn't belong. After giving a fruit a good once over, Eve looked at the tree and said, ooh, do I like that? Eve was convinced that God was keeping something good from her. She was convinced that eating this fruit was the best option. So Eve picked up the fruit. She looked at it, and she took a big, giant bite of that fruit. So yummy, so good. Oh, man, and just like that, things were not perfect anymore. The world changed in an act of disobedience, but it did not stop there. No, she passed her fruit on to Adam, and then he took it to bite and disobeyed. Everything changed for them in that moment. For the first time, they knew what it was like to feel guilty, to feel ashamed. They realized for the first time that they were not wearing any clothes, so they threw together some fig leaves. When they heard that God was in the garden, and he was coming down, they hid. Not like, oh, we're just going to play hide and seek from God. No, they hid because like, oh man, we are in trouble. We better go hide from God. Never before had they been afraid of God. They had always been super duper close to him. But sin was already causing problems. Once God confronted Adam and Eve about eating from the tree he commanded them not to eat from, listen to this, guys. God's heart was saddened. Adam and Eve had chosen their own way instead of trusting in God. God had given them only one rule. You guys say one rule. He gave them one rule, and they broke it.